Dear students, welcome to my second session of the chapter 1 typical configuration of computer system. In my previous session, I had explained about the basic block diagram of computers. Along with that, we have learned few technical terms or definition of few computer hardware like motherboard, and under motherboard we have discussed what are the characteristics of motherboard. The motherboard is characterized by form factor, chipset and processor socket. Next we have discussed the types of motherboard, as AT motherboard, XT motherboard, baby AT motherboard and ATX motherboard. After that, next in today's session I am going to explain the major components of motherboard. Let us look into that. What are the major components of motherboard? The major components of motherboards are: one is processor, BIOS, CMOS, slots, disk controllers, IO ports and bus or bus system. What are processors? You have learned in my last session, processor is the main part of computer, main part of your computer system, and it is also called as a CPU, and it is the brain of computer. So yesterday we have discussed about how computer works or with the help of block diagram of computer. So in block diagram of computer you have learned how computer works. First it takes the data from the input device, then all the input device, it accepts the data, then all the data instruction goes to the memory unit, and from memory unit it passed on to ALU or arithmetic logic unit for processing, and after processing again data along with instruction or information goes back to memory unit for storing. Then after that the result or information is displayed on the output device. See, this is what you have learned with the help of block diagram of computer. So all these happenings all will takes place inside the CPU or processor. So that is why it is called as brain of computer system. So under this this is processor or microprocessor, and this microprocessor is also supported with another set of chipset along with the supported by supported by chipset or a group of chips. One is called south bridge and north bridge. These two are supporting chips, so which will help the processor or to communication between different devices on the motherboard. So this is processor, main part of your computer system. Next we talk about BIOS. What is BIOS? BIOS stands for basic input output system. Basic input output system. Actually, you might have observed that these, again, the BIOS is nothing but it is a small chip. It is a small chip or a small memory. It stores all the instructions or settings required for settings of hardware required for functioning of computer system. computer system. So what is a BIOS? BIOS is nothing but a small chip or a small memory unit, and here it stores the instructions or settings of hardware which are our computer peripherals which are connected to the computer systems, and which these parameters or settings are necessary for a computer system to work for proper functioning of computer system. And you might have observed that when you on the computer or when you boot the computer system, you might have observed first this computer takes itself a test, or it checks for the required hardware and hardware parts of it. That is called post. Post stands for power on self test. So as soon as you boot the computer or on the computer, this BIOS takes the self test. It is called post power on self test. So it is going to check whether all the peripherals or hardware connected to computer systems are functioning or working properly. Suppose if any of the settings are missing or a parameter are missing, it displays a message, for example like no keyboard or no mouse. So this is about BIOS. Next, we'll discuss about CMOS. What CMOS stands for? Complementary metal oxide